Welcome to my channel. In this video, I am going to discuss about the basic concepts of object-oriented programming. So the concepts are object, class, encapsulation, abstraction, inheritance, polymorphism, and binding. I will discuss one by one. Firstly, what is an object? In object-oriented programming, the large problem can be decomposed into smaller entities called objects. So objects are the basic runtime entities in an object-oriented system. An object consists of two properties, that is state and behavior. The state comes under some information about the object. The behavior comes under methods or functions applied on particular object. So any entity that has state and behavior is known as object. When a program is executed, the objects interact by sending messages to one another. If you see the figure, chair is an object, fan is an object, your bike is an object. So everything is considered as an object in real-time environment, because every entity has some state and behavior that is considered to be an object. If you consider a person, the person consists of the properties like name, color, age, etc. Similarly, the behavior of a person is the person can walk, the person can sit, the person can run. So these are the behaviors of a person. This is the example. And the object can be defined as an instance of class. Like a structure, the object contains an address and takes up some space in memory also. This is about the object. And next, how the objects are represented. The objects are represented in a rectangular box which consists of three sections: object name, data, and functions. So the example is student is an object. In the data part, student name, marks, roll number, age comes under the data part. The average and display comes under the method part or function part. So this is the structure of an object. So the object consists of two properties, state and behavior. And next, how these objects are represented. So these objects are represented by using a special user-defined data type called class. That is, the entire set of data and code can be made a user-defined data type with the help of class. And a class is nothing but a collection of objects of a similar type. That is, objects are variables of type class. Once a class is defined, you can create a number of objects. Once a class is defined, you can create a number of objects. That is the case. The syntax is similar to a normal variable. That is, int a. A is a variable of a type integer. Similar to integer variable. How to define an object means the object is defined by using the class name space object name. If you consider the first example, fruit is defined as a class. So how to define an object? By using the class name space object name. So fruit space mango. Here I am defining only single object. The fruit is a class and mango is an object of a fruit class. In example 2, fruit is a class name. So you can create multiple objects, mango, banana, apple, so on. That is, once a class is defined, you can create multiple objects or number of objects belonging to particular class. That is the class. And the general structure of a class is class name. So the class is enclosed with the opening brace and closing brace and is terminated with a semicolon. So in the body part of the class, there are 3 sections: private section, public section, and protected section. So the private and public and protected are the access specifiers or the visibility modes. So according to the requirement, you can declare your member variables and member functions as private or public or protected. So in the private part, data members and member functions. Similarly, public part, data members and member functions. In the protected part, data members and member functions. Example of class is, see the right part, class, the class name is student. Here I am declaring 2 variables, roll number and the name. The roll number is of type integer. The name is of type character array. Those 2 are declared in the private section. So those are known as the data members. In the public part, 2 functions are there, average and display. Those are referred as the member functions. So those member function can access the variables roll number and name. If you are declaring your member variables or data members as private, by default, if you are mentioning or not mentioning, by default, the variables are private variables in class. So this is the structure of a class. So how the objects are created, already you know. The objects are created by using the syntax class name, object names. The class name is a student. The object names are S1, S2, S3, so on. So the statement is, once a class student is defined, you can create multiple objects S1, S2, S3 of student class. And objects are variables of type class. Okay, this is the general structure of class. And another important property of object-oriented system is encapsulation. What is encapsulation means? Binding up of data and functions into a single unit, that is wrapping up of data and functions into single unit, that is known as encapsulation. That is, if you observe the object contains data and functions. These objects are implemented by using a special user defined data type called class. That is, the class is a collection of data and functions into one unit. So the encapsulation is can be implemented by using a class, or it can be achieved by declaring all the variables in the class as private and writing public methods in the class to set and get the values of the variables. So if you are declaring your variables in the class as a private, the data is hidden and the functions declared in the class can access those variables only. That is the concept of data hiding. That is one important property of object-oriented system. That is, if you are declaring your member variables or data members as private, so that the data is secure. That is, the data is hidden. That is, the data is not accessible by other functions. This is the concept of encapsulation. That is, wrapping up of data and functions into a single unit, that is known as encapsulation. The general meaning, if you observe the general meaning of a capsule, the capsule is nothing but it is wrapped with different medicines. In the same way, if you observe the figure, the class is nothing but combination of data and functions. Data in the sense variables, functions in the sense methods. That is the encapsulation definition. So the encapsulation can be implemented or achieved by using a structure called class. That is the case. And what is the advantage of using encapsulation? If you are declaring your member variables or data as a private, that data is not accessible to the outside world. Only those functions which are declared in the public part of the class can access those variables. That is encapsulation part. And the next property is data abstraction. It is also one important concept. See the definition first. The abstraction is nothing but act of representing essential features without including the background details part. So the classes uses the concept of abstraction. So these are also known as abstract data types. So I will discuss with example. See the first example. So the calculator example. Suppose if you want to add two numbers, that is 2 plus 3, simply you press the button 2 and press the button plus and press the button 3 and press the button equal to, like that. So if you press the button 3 plus 2 equal to, the answer is 5. Just you know how to operate the calculator, but you don't know the internal process of the calculator, how the battery works, how if you press the 2, how the 2 is displayed on the screen. You don't know the process. That is the concept of abstraction. That is act of representing essential features without including the background details. That is without including the implementation details. That case is known as abstraction case. See the example 2. If you consider the ATM machine, you know how to operate ATM. That is, you insert your card based on the choices. You have to deposit or withdraw some amount from the ATM machine. But you don't know how the cash is generated, how the cash is deposited into machine. You don't know that process. So based on your operation, the bank balance is updated automatically. But here, you know how to operate the ATM only, but you don't know how ATM works internally, how the cash is generated. So here also the implementation details are hidden. Only you are knowing the essential features, but you don't know the implementation details. That concept is known as abstraction concept. And one more example, car example. Same, you know how to drive a car, how to access the gear, how to use only, but you don't know the implementation parts. That is how the engine works. You don't know. If you automatically use the gear 1, gear 2, gear 3, some internal process is happened. You don't know that internal process. That is the case. That is one property of abstraction. So the abstraction is nothing but act of representing essential features without including the background details. So the classes uses the concept of abstraction so that the data is hidden. It is not accessible by outside functions. That is the concept there. And one more simple example, real-time example. You want to download one software from the Play Store or any other website. You simply download the executable file and you simply install that executable file. The software is automatically installed. but you don't know the internal code of executable file. That is how many packages that executable file uses, how many classes that executable file uses, the internal code of the executable file. You don't know the process, but you know you have to download only the executable file. After downloading, that executable file is installed in your computer simply. That is one type of abstraction. That is, the implementation details are hidden. That is the case of abstraction. Another important feature of object-oriented system is inheritance. So inheritance is nothing but acquiring the properties of one object to another. That is, it is the process by which object of one class acquire the properties of objects of another class. Simple example is you can inherit some properties from your father. And what is the advantage of inheritance? The advantage of inheritance is reusability concept. What is reusability means? You can inherit some properties from the existing class and add some additional features to the existing class without modifying that. That is the case. There is a concept of reusability. So if you see the figure here, the class A and class B, the class B can inherit the properties from the class A. So here the notations are superclass and subclass. What is superclass? The class whose properties are inherited by subclass is called superclass. So if you consider the figure, the class B inherit the properties from the class A. The class A is nothing but superclass. It is also referred as base class or parent class. The class B is defined as a subclass, that is, it inherits the properties from class A, that is from another class, that is called subclass. The class B is subclass or derived class or child class. So the class A is superclass, the class B is subclass. This is the inheritance. And what are the types of inheritance? There are 5 types. That is a single inheritance, hierarchical inheritance, multi-level inheritance, multiple inheritance, and finally hybrid inheritance. So the single inheritance means only one superclass, one subclass. Hierarchical inheritance means one superclass, one or more subclasses. Multi-level means superclass, subclass 1, subclass 2. That is, for example, your father can inherit the properties from your grandfather. So you have to inherit some properties from your father. That is the case for multi-level inheritance. Multiple inheritance means 2 or more superclasses and 1 subclass. And the combination of any 2 inheritances is known as hybrid inheritance. I will discuss this inheritance concept in the upcoming videos, so no problem for that. And the next important feature is polymorphism. So the polymorphism is nothing but it is a Greek word. The poly means many and morphism means forms. That is ability to take more than one form. If you consider addition operation, that is operator plus C is used. So the plus C is used for adding integers. The same plus C is used for adding floating point numbers. The same plus C is used for adding strings also in the means of concatenation. So the single plus can be used for different operations. That is achieving different behaviors by using a single interface, that is known as polymorphism. The polymorphism can be divided into 2 types, compile time polymorphism and runtime polymorphism. So the examples for compile time are function overloading and operator overloading, and the runtime polymorphism can be achieved by using overriding and virtual functions. So what is function overloading? So simple example. Here, if you consider the example, the add function is used. In the first one, the add is used to add 2 integers. Similarly, the same add function is used to add two floating point numbers. In the third case, the add is used to add one parameter is integer and one parameter is float. That is, the function name is the same, but you have to perform different operations. That is, different parameters. So the process of achieving different behaviors by using a single function, that is known as a function overloading. All these functions are overloaded at compile time. So that is known as compile time polymorphism. Similarly, the process of achieving different behaviors by using a single operator, that is known as operator overloading. So again, these are overloaded using compile time. So that is compile time polymorphism. So the runtime polymorphism can be achieved by using virtual functions in C++. That is separate concept. So this is about the polymorphism, ability to take more than one form. That is the case. Similarly, the draw function is used to draw a circle, to draw a rectangle, to draw a square, to draw a triangle also. That is, the function is the same, but you are using different parameters. That is the concept. And binding, one important property. What is binding means? Linking of a procedure call to the code to be executed in response to the call. That is, your object is bounded to its function call is known as binding. That is, object is bounded to its function call in two ways, that is compile time and runtime. That is, object is bound to its function call at compile time, that is early binding. Object is bound to its function call at a runtime, that is a late binding. That is a concept. So examples are function overloading and operator overloading are the examples for early binding. Similarly, function overriding and virtual functions are the examples for late binding. That is a case. And one more important one is message communication system. How objects are communicated. So the objects are communicated in the form of messages. That is, the object communicate with one another by sending and receiving information at the same way as people pass message to one another. So see the figure. In object-oriented programming, it consists of set of objects. So the communication is possible by means of messages. So this concept is known as message passing scheme. So it involves three basic steps. One is create classes, first one. The second one, after creating classes, you have to create objects and establish some communication among objects in the form of messages. So how the communication can be done? It can be represented by object name, dot operator, function name with any parameters. Object name, dot operator, function name and any parameters. That is the representation part. So the objects are communicated in the form of messages. So this process is known as message passing environment. So these are the main important concepts of object-oriented programming. Thank you. Please like, share and subscribe my channel for more videos.